So, A'ja Wilson is completely delusional. And I'm not joking when I say that, like, completely delusional. Like, a level of delusion I'm not sure I've seen in a sports person. And, like, this is worse than the Brittany Griner situation, because at least with the Brittany Griner situation, she was kind of like, she was almost kind of laughing. It was kind of like a, yeah, I'm that good. But, like, this one seems like a, if you don't believe, like, listen to it. It just the tone that she says it is like she's in shock that people don't agree with her. Like, it wasn't like Brittany Griner was almost like a, I don't care what you think, I'm gonna beat DeMarcus Cousins in a 1v1. But like A'ja Wilson, she said she'd beat Josh Hart in a 1v1. Like, she genuinely said she beat Josh Hart. And the tone wasn't like self-confident. The tone was when Josh Hart was almost laughing, it was almost like I would beat you. Like, almost like she took offense to Josh Hart implying that he'd win. But either way, first of all, this is a ridiculous take, by the way. This is a ridiculous take. And I think it's a ridiculous take in a way because she doesn't have the toughest schedule. Some WNBA players do. I will agree with that. There were WNBA players that went straight from a WNBA season into an overseas season, into an Olympics, back into the WNBA season, back into an overseas season. I'm trying to think players that did that. Julie Van Loo did, and she's stinking it up for Galatasaray this year. Or at least in the games that I've watched in Euro Cup. Probably watched her play a couple of times. I'm trying to think players that did not get a break. Julie Van Loo didn't. Mostly non-Americans, to be fair, because of the Olympic break. Either way, there are people that have played like 14 straight months. So yes, there are people where it's extremely tough. But like, the toughest schedule of any athletes, you could argue, are good tennis players. You play every single week.
For sure. Because I feel like for us, like, we don't have, our rookie orientation is not like anything too crazy. It's literally like, obviously, like a day before the draft and you're sitting there and you're talking. But it's like, we don't get to go work out for teams. We don't have a combine. Like, it's literally like,
That's so crazy.
Like,
she was the number one pick. She didn't need no combine. She was the number one pick. Like,
you literally go from college. I remember it was like, I went in, I got drafted. I literally did training camp, and I came back to college just to walk, to graduate. And then I had to go play my first preseason game. Like, you don't have time to even, like, I remember Jackie was just like, I had to get my draft dress in a matter of a day.
I mean, she's not wrong when talking about rookies. Like, she's not wrong about that, but it's like, she's not talking about it very specific. She's not talking about specifically rookies, but I don't even think she may use the best point, like the best way she could do it. But the difference is that she's not going to say it to she's not going to mention like what for example, again, like a Julie Van Loo who literally has played 15 straight months pro.
And I'm just like, there's no way one of the biggest nights of my life, I have to like be rushed. It's insane. So yeah, I would have to say our schedule is pretty crazy. And for us, we had 6 Olympians this year. So that's like half our roster gone. And while other teams may have their whole roster, so they can like train, they can
practice, hoop, do all that.
Go on vacation, they can rest. So like, it's a lot. And I'm surprised we did what we did this year because it was just a lot of just stuff going on. And stuff is the Olympics, but still stuff.
Like, the only players on your team that played in the off season was Meg Gustafson. Like, Kelsey Plum didn't play overseas last year. Did Jackie Young play overseas last year? Like, why is she talking about last year, first of all? Like, Jackie Young did not play overseas last year. Kelsey Plum didn't play overseas last year. Chelsea Gray was injured. Meg Gustafson, you didn't play overseas last year. Meg Gustafson played 15 months straight. The only player on your team that had like a schedule where they played ball for more than 4 months last year. You played in May, June, July, August, and September. You played 5 months of basketball last year. Like, 5 straight months. Like, that's not the craziest schedule. You played what? 40 games in the regular season. Playoffs was, they played 6 playoff games. It's 46. And in the Olympics, she played, what did they play? 6 games at the Olympics. So she played 52 games in 5 months. So she basically played almost an equivalent of like an NBA player playing 82 games. So it's nothing crazy, like with an 8-month break before it. Like, again, understandable, but like the only player in your team that played quote unquote the toughest schedule was Meg Gustafson, who played in the entire offseason for London Lions, then went straight into the WNBA season, and then went straight into the Olympics with Spain, although she didn't play that many minutes for you guys, so it's a little bit different. But this is the ridiculous take, though. This is the ridiculous take. A'ja Wilson says she would beat Josh Hart 11-8 in 1v1.
Score would be like 8-11. Me.
Like, I don't mind up to this point.
It's not happening.
I get ball first.
Like that is very, very clearly, like, I don't think she's trying to be funny. Like, this is almost like are you serious?
You get ball first.
She does get ball first.
And you want to know what happens when A'ja Wilson gets ball first? Ball hits the ground. Josh Hart steals the ball, turns around, yams it. Because by the time he steals the ball, gets it, turns around, and by the time A'ja Wilson is able to get to the basket, Josh Hart's already in the air dunking.
Not gonna get it back. And you could, but that's gonna be your time. Like, that's gonna be your period, which is fine. I'm not saying you're gonna go scoreless, but 8-11, I feel like it's pretty solid. So what do you think it'll be, Josh? Don't piss me off.
Don't, like, you see that? Don't piss me off. And I'm like, it will be 11-0 to Josh Hart. If they played 100 times, A'ja Wilson would not get more than 2. And you want to know why she get 2? Because she starts with the ball, catches it, and just flings it up, and sometimes she might score twice in a row. Josh Hart would score 11 times straight on A'ja Wilson, 99 times out of 100. Like, that's not disrespectful to A'ja Wilson. Josh Hart would average 80 points a game in the WNBA from just catching a defensive rebound, running in a straight line, and either dunking or finishing, because just biology. He would average 80 points a game. Like, I'm not joking. Like, no offense. And this is not, again, look, I've always said this. The highest level I played at is the Irish Superleague. I was, like, as far as pro basketball is concerned, I played almost at the lowest of the low you could play when I played technically pro. Like, I played at the lowest of the low level. So I'm nothing spectacular. I was still at my peak. 6'1" with a 6'7" wingspan, could dunk, was an 11 flat 100-meter runner, with the high school shot because I was considering going over to prep school. They needed, like, my track and fields things. I was a 55-foot shot put thrower, 11 flat 100-meter runner, could dunk if I was wide open on a break, and shot near 40% from 3. From just offensive rebounds and running, I would average probably 20 points a game in the WNBA. Not that I'm saying I'm more skilled. Not saying I'm more skilled than A'ja Wilson, because I'm not. Not saying I'm more skilled or better at basketball than these players, because I'm not. Just purely based on biology. Josh Hart would score, if I tried to guard him in a game, he'd score 100. He'd score 100 points in a 5v5 game. Like, don't piss me off. 11-0 Josh Hart. If he was being generous, 11-2. Him saying 11-2 is the most generous, because out of 100 times they play, it's close to A'ja Wilson would ever get.
Piss me off.
He just laughs at that, like.
Do not piss me off.
I was just about to violate this. I'm about to say,
Right.
man, probably like 11-2.
11. The fact is, 11-2 that is being generous. He's like, I was about to violate 11-2. 11-2 is genuinely being generous. That's the funniest part about this.
You're sick. You're sick.
We're saying you're sick. 11-2 is being so generous. I'm sorry, like, 11-2 is incredibly generous. Like,
Nah, I'll say like a good 11, probably like 11-7.
Like, she's annoyed at 11-7, man. She would lose 11-0. It would be 11-0.
Okay, that's fair. You got 7? Okay.
No.
You
What you mean? What you mean? I got 7 what? I got 7 plus 4.
I'd pay to see
It would
that.
actually be. It would be like 8-11.
Like, as much as she's trying to joke, she'd lose 11-0 with him only playing with his offhand. Yes. He would average 60. He would average 80. Like, if he wanted to, she'd lose to Dadier. She would lose 11-0 to Dadier. He made the freaking NBA. She would lose 11-0 to Bronny. Like, what are we talking about here? And that's not a knock on AJ Wilson. She might be the greatest female player ever. When it's all said and done, she might go down as the GOAT. I don't like her, but like, you can take away your personal, whether or not you like someone personally, and you can talk about their basketball skills. AJ Wilson is one of the greatest players ever because she is a top 3 or 4 offensive player in the NBA or in the WNBA and a top 2 or 3 defensive player and the best rim protector. Whether or not you want to argue she's a better defensive player all around the fee is a question. She is the best rim protector in the WNBA, her and Ezzy Magbagor. She has got the foot speed of a guard. She's averaged 26 a game. The problem, like, I think she shoots every time she touches it, but like, that's the only flaw. She's the best scorer in the She's the best scorer in the WNBA, in WNBA history. So, that's not disrespecting her. She might go down, when it's all said and done, as one of the greatest of all time. But she would lose 11-0 to Bronny. Like, and that's not disrespecting AJ Wilson. Bronny James, literally, like, we've seen, like, these WNBA guards. Obviously, AJ Wilson is elite as a shot blocker. But, like, Bronny James would literally rip through one dribble, get to the basket, and by the time he's laid it up, AJ Wilson would still be a step behind. Or if he wants to take a second dribble, if AJ Wilson wants to contest him at the rim, then she's getting yammed on. Like, she would lose 11-0 to every single player to ever play in the NBA. More than likely. And that's not a knock on AJ Wilson. But, like, the difference is that there's self-confidence, and then there's all the, like, don't piss me off. It's like, oh, when he said 11-2, and she was basically talking about how that was disrespectful. No, 11-2 is the most generous. Like, if he was being honest, 11-0, they could play best of 5, and it would probably be 11-0, 11-0, 11-0. I'm not joking. Even a 50% effort, 11-0. Even if AJ gets the ball, 11-0. AJ Wilson will put the ball on the floor, and it would be stripped. It would be stripped. This is Josh Hart. This is not just a scrub in the NBA. This guy who averages 10 rebounds a game in the NBA, or nearly 10 rebounds. He's one of the best rebounding guards ever. This is a guy who probably could have been an Olympian, wasn't that far off, and who started on a World Cup team for America. This is a fantastic NBA player. 11-0, if they played 5 times, 11-0, 11-0, 11-0, 11, I'll give her 11-1 once. 11-0.